It's time for Around the Ozarks in 5, brought to you by the Butterfly Palace. Have the best day ever adventuring through the rainforest at the Butterfly Palace. And Springfield Greene County Park Board, reminding you to go play. Here are your hosts, Ethan and Sarah Forhetz.
Hey, good morning to you on Tuesday. It is a big day. Back to school for Springfield Public Schools, the largest school district in the state. So parents are going to be busy this morning, dropping off kids, meeting new teachers, all the stuff that they do, and then they're free. Then they can go have coffee. They can go to work.
Getting it out the door is a challenge, and getting pictures with everyone smiling because you're in a hurry and you're like, let's go.
Take a picture.
Take a picture and smile. That used to be Ethan, actually. It's gotten better in our kid's older age, but he used to get so angry during pictures because they wouldn't smile right.
Everybody gets angry during pictures. They're ridiculous.
The right time. Oh, man. Anyway, yeah. So have a good one, Springfield school students. Yay. Day 2 for many of the other surrounding districts. But yeah, watch out in school zones and crosswalks and all the places in and around schools. All right, we'll get to the news. A beloved basketball great has passed away at the age of 44. So young. Rob Yanders played for Missouri State and a lot overseas as well. But perhaps his legacy, if you read anything about him online, is what he poured into so many younger players in both basketball and in life. He has impacted many players who have gone on to do great things on and off the court. No official word yet on how he died, but his family and friends report that they are not aware of any sort of health issues.
Wow, it is so sad, and I know a lot of people who knew him. I didn't have the pleasure of knowing him, but I'd heard about him a little bit. But now I've heard a lot about him since his tragic, untimely death at 44, just so young, and such a tragedy.
I feel like I know a lot of people who knew him as well. I do not, but yes, they've all just given absolutely amazing man, it sounds like, and heartbreaking. So we'll let you know as we learn more. A juvenile charged in a fatal crash on July 22nd is no longer charged. They have been dropped against him. The case against the juvenile driver was dismissed without prejudice, meaning it could be refiled if there's more evidence. Initially, police thought the driver was a juvenile, but since then, they say there has been some doubt cast, perhaps, if that person was really driving that night. Prosecutors want to speak with some more witnesses.
Okay. Meanwhile, we're learning more about the issues with a handful of Missouri marijuana dispensaries. Been in the news lately. Suffice to say, they have their work cut out for them. Initially, we told you about 3 dispensaries that were suspended because the state could not verify some of the products had been properly tested. That led to nearly 63,000 marijuana products getting recalled by the Department of Health and Senior Services in Missouri, specifically the Division of Cannabis Regulation. Well, now we know of another issue at a separate facility, a manufacturing plant called Delta Extraction in Robertsville, which is kind of in the middle eastern part of the state of Missouri. The state says Delta Extraction was not properly tracking products. So now they are in trouble. And also, now the Missouri auditor is investigating the marijuana program overall. The goal, they say, is to determine whether the Department of Health and Senior Services is operating, quote, in a manner that is efficient, accountable, and transparent. So, I don't know where this goes from here, but we shall see.
It's a lot. I was reading an article in one of the papers about all of the issues, and it was just interesting because so much changed with this so fast regarding the Missouri Constitution. So obviously there's this now division that is specifically for cannabis regulation, but I mean, it hasn't been that long, right, and already there are multiple issues. And I mean, 63,000 products being recalled is no small feat. So it's going to be, that's why you say, I guess,
well,
you got your work cut out for you. And then
that's a lot of stuff. And whenever you're talking about people ingesting things, it's, you got to make sure there's the safeguard,
the liability issues. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's a serious deal. And you're right. This this division was formed almost overnight to deal with
what will become a massive, really already has. I mean, even in the first month, multi-million-dollar industry. So
no, it's huge. It's huge. So we'll see what happens as a result of the investigation and everything else related to that. And we have some breaking news. It is hot, and it continues to be hot. Extreme heat continues to bake the Ozarks, near 100-degree temperatures really all week, which is crazy.
I actually thought that you had breaking news.
You thought I just had some breaking? I wasn't.
I was like, oh, that's interesting. This just did. I don't even know what he's going to talk about right now.
Well, I used to be a newscaster, so I know how to sell
sold
things.
It. You did. You sold it.
Yeah. Because of that excessive heat, an excessive heat warning, aptly named, is in place until 10 o'clock Thursday night. But Friday is predicted to be 99 degrees, so I don't know why it ends Thursday. 90s through the weekend as well. Cooling centers are available in the Springfield area. They include libraries and community centers, and several schools and sports leagues have called off practices or moved them to cooler time periods. I know last night was very pleasant for me. I went to my boys' practice, our boys' practice, and it was inside at the new Sportstown indoor facility, and it was a little chilly. You
weren't hot at all, were you?
It was a little chilly in there. What?
I said, and you weren't hot at all, were you?
I was not hot at all. No, I was cold, in fact. I was like, can we open some of the doors and let some of this cold air out? Because it's freezing.
Meanwhile, I was sitting in a swimming pool area. So outside. It's a little toasty in there. Because I wasn't in the water. No, inside.
Inside. Little humid.
A little humid. The natural state is seeing a lot more natural disasters. Talking about Arkansas, of course. In the past 20 years, the number of natural disasters in Arkansas increased by 186%. The group Quote Wizard used data from the National Centers for Environmental Information to come to that conclusion. No word on why such an increase.
That's interesting. I'm trying to remember some sizable disasters in Arkansas. I think there were some tornadoes.
That's for sure.
Yeah, there were tornadoes recently.
Some earthquakes too. I can remember several earthquakes.
But those weren't damage causing. This had to cause like a more than some $1 million limit worth of damage. So earthquakes didn't do that.
Flooding as well. They had some flooding.
Yeah, flooding. Flooding's been a big problem. Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of natural disasters, we've been telling you about Tropical Storm Hillary bringing torrential rainfall to Southern California, and now 3 other different tropical storms are forming in the Atlantic, all of them developing over essentially a 24-hour time period. Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, and Haiti have all been warned of devastating rainfall totals very likely to come in this week that we are currently in, depending on the day and the time where you are on the map.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Wildfires, Hawaii, in the Northwest, Canada. The earthquake that hit California didn't do damage, but it was an earthquake nevertheless during this tropical storm that's dumping all the rain on California. And now down in the potentially headed toward the Gulf. I mean, some of them have models are tracking it into Texas. So we'll have to be watching what happens with those storms in the next several days. Meanwhile, classes are now underway at Missouri State University, and it just set a couple of records. That's cool. MSU now has the largest number of first-time college students ever in their history, nearly 2,700 first-time college students. So they're not transfers, but first-time college students. That could be any age, but that's up more than 600 over last year. MSU also set a new record when it comes to graduate students. There are now nearly 4,300 graduate students enrolled on campus at Missouri State University. So it's getting busy over there.
It is. That's exciting for them. And now to Drury. Hundreds of freshmen at Drury spent the day giving back to the community, donating their time to work on different service projects, including over with Ethan at Convoy of Hope. How about that? They filled buckets with essential relief supplies there for the people who just survived a natural disaster, depending on where you are on the map. Depends on what kind, but some of the more than 500 buckets will go to Maui, which are dealing with wildfires, and California dealing with, again, the flooding and some damaging winds.
Yeah, I would guess most of those would go to the California area because they're buckets filled with a lot of cleaning supplies. And anybody who's ever experienced any kind of flooding in their house knows what a disaster it leaves behind. The water gets up into your house, it's there for a little while, and then it quickly recedes, and you're stuck with mud in your carpet. It's a disaster. So there's a lot of cleaning supplies, soap, and all those sorts of things just to help people get rid of the mess in their house.
Yep.
It's a real problem.
Yeah, it is. All right. Well, hey, I hope you have a great day at school if you are headed that direction right now. Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday morning. Maybe you're listening on your way to school. And if you are, thanks for doing that too.
We appreciate it very much. Tell your friends. We'd love to have more folks joining us. And make sure you stay tuned for Wake Up Weather with meteorologist Abby Dyer. It's coming up.
Have a good
See
one.
Ya.
It's time for Around the Ozarks Wake Up Weather. Here's your host, Abby Dyer.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to your Tuesday. You are listening to Around the Ozarks Wake Up Weather. I'm Abby Dyer. Thank you for being here with us this morning when it's miserably hot outside. I mean, you think you knew what 98 degrees felt like, even when we always talk about the heat index. Yeah, it feels warmer than it is. I mean, these numbers are absolutely ridiculous that we've been dealing with the last couple of days. Heat index values around 115 and staying there for hours and hours and hours. So dangerous heat still persists in the last couple of weeks of August here. We are still talking about the heat wave. We have all those heat headlines still issued for today, tomorrow, and on Thursday. Then we could see the pattern break a little bit as we get closer to the work week forecast. So there's some better news in my extended forecast, but overall, we are talking heat and humidity, dangerous heat that persists in the Ozarks, not just today, but as I mentioned, all the way through Thursday of this week. I have heat index values that will be near 115 each and every day. It's one of those patterns that is just like, yuck. I mean, you can feel it when you're outside for even a short period of time and then you walk indoors into air conditioning, you can feel that moisture evaporating off of your skin. It's really, really gross. We're in for more of that today. More of the yuck. Yeah. On Tuesday, we have high temperature near 98. Again, feeling more like 110 to 15 degrees. So good day if you have to be outside to have a way to cool off. No rain in the forecast for the work week. And I have some small rain chances that begin to return for us for the weekend, but I gotta tell you, even when I have the rain chances returning, it's not a great chance for rain. There could be a pattern flip, though, by late in the weekend, and that's when we could see some cooler weather building into the Ozarks for the early part of next work week. So that's what we're really looking forward to. We just kind of got to suffer through these hot and sticky days before that arrives. So this week, what's happening, we have this big upper level high pressure system. It is just not allowing any moisture through, and it's allowing for those really high dew points. There's been some condensation on the windows and things, some areas of patchy fog in the morning, but it just won't rain. We have so much moisture in the atmosphere, but we just can't get a drop to fall from the cloud cover. So that's going to be the pattern setup for us through about Thursday. By the weekend, I think we start to see that ridge of high pressure slide back to the southwest a little bit. It allows a cold front to drop in here, and that will hopefully give us a chance for a few showers and maybe even a thunderstorm or two by Saturday and Sunday. I mentioned already, it's not an opportunity for like this big soaking rain with a huge cool down. We're talking like a 20 to 30% chance for rain for the weekend, but it's something. So we'll hold on to it. And I think that the high temperatures do fall back into the 80s by Sunday. Until then, though, we're flirting with 100 degrees, not just today, 98 degrees for the forecasted high temperature in the Ozarks on this Tuesday, but just some really hot and humid weather every single day, all the way really through Saturday. I think we're still in the low 90s. And then it's Sunday that we start to see some of that cooler weather build into the region. Headlines across the country, though, are kind of wild. I mean, it's been really, really active. Of course, we've been talking about Hillary, the once Category 4 hurricane that's now weakening. As it moves north, it's going to take its rains with it up through portions of central California and Nevada. We have excessive rainfall. That's a threat for South Texas. today because of a tropical cyclone that's developed in the Gulf, bringing some heavy rains to Texas, a couple of inches from Corpus Christi all the way back through areas near San Antonio. And then we are also talking about, of course, the heat headlines. 80 million people. 80 million people in the Midwest, all the way to the Gulf, under the heat headlines. That includes us, of course, here in the Ozarks. That's our big story, but we are not the only ones suffering through the summertime heat. It is a widespread region and impacting a lot of folks as we head into the start of the new school year. We also have poor air quality headlines coming out of the Pacific Northwest. Wildfires, the smoke up there allowing for the air quality to be pretty poor beginning today and lasting through the middle of the week. So pretty active all across the country. Not necessarily any good headlines either. Nobody's just like getting a ton of rain that they need. We need the rain in South Texas, of course, but it's too much too fast with that tropical system that is coming through. All right, I'm going to show you the brain twister question. This is from yesterday, and it is kind of a timely one because, of course, we've all been talking about Hillary the last couple of days in the weather community. Which month has seen the most Category 4 hurricanes? Do you think it was August, September, or October? If you guessed B, September, you are correct. That is typically when we see the most Category 4 storms. It also coincides with the peak of hurricane season, which peaks September 10th historically. It's been a slow start already, but we're starting to see a lot more activity in the tropics. The waters are definitely warm. However, it's an El Nino year, and typically those aren't, huge tropical years. So it'll be interesting to see how this the rest of the season plays out. We do have several disturbances out in the Atlantic, but we'll see how they progress. Of course, we're watching that one that's going to move through the Gulf and impact South Texas. Typically, though, in the month of September, there are about 51 storms that are named that month. So B, September is the answer. And Hillary did make it to a Category 4 before it made landfall in Mexico over the weekend, by the way. Here's your brain twister question for tomorrow. What does the term figure in figure skating refer to? Do you think it is A, the skaters themselves, B, poses the skaters make, C, how well they end their jumps, or D, the geometric shapes that they carve into the ice? That is the brain twister that I will have the answer to early tomorrow morning. In the short term, find a way to cool down. I hope everybody stays safe. Check on your neighbors. Make sure you're taking care of the kids, the pets, all those vulnerable populations in this extreme heat. We got to band together and get through it. So thank you so much for listening. If you need weather up to the minute, check that heat index. You can do that over on aroundtheozarks.com. Make sure you hit subscribe if you are listening to Around the Ozarks Wake Up Weather on Apple or Spotify. And if you don't already have it, download the Around the Ozarks app. You can get all the podcasts there. Catch up on your news and your weather all in one spot. Great to chat with you. I will talk with you tomorrow morning.